Hello, it's Bailey and it's time for my July wrap-up. I am very happy with how this month went. It is definitely more books than I had read in the months of June and May. So I'm happy to be getting into it. I did read 10 books in the month of July, which, like I said, I'm very happy with that number. I will quickly mention that my unread TBR is currently sitting at 103 books, so it did go down this month. So I'm fine with all of this. So let's get into what I read. I'm going to do this how I usually do and go from my least favorite to my most favorite. I did have books in every star category this month, from 1 star to 5 star. Actually, I had only 1 in every category except 4 stars. I have quite a few in my 4-star books. So we'll start with my 1-star book, which was How to Make Shit Happen by Sean Whalen. This is still going to be featured in an upcoming vlog, so I don't want to talk too much about it, but I did 1-star this. I think it's one of the worst things I've read ever, so didn't like that one. Then at 2 stars, I actually already unhauled this book, but it was The Poet X by Elizabeth Acevedo. I'm not sure why I struggled with this one so much, because the previous book I had read by her, which was With the Fire on High, I actually gave 5 stars and I really liked that one, which that one is written more traditionally, and The Poet X is actually written in verse. And I don't think it was the verse that was my issue. I just think like the topics at hand I wasn't connecting with, and not like in the sense of you have to relate to everything, but I struggle sometimes with like religion talk, and this definitely had that. So it just didn't work for me. I definitely understand why other people love that so much, and I'm gonna be reading more Elizabeth Acevedo in the future. Then at 3 stars, I had Alatsoy by Darcy Littlebadger. And I just want to start by saying that this isn't something I think I would have picked up on my own. I did read this for a challenge that I'm doing. And so that being said, there is kind of like a fantasy, magical realism, paranormal aspect to this book, and that's just not something I'm into, and so it really didn't work for me in this book either. But I think despite that, I really did enjoy the characters and the history and just like the culture in this book. But like I said, this is something I knew that probably wasn't going to resonate with me going into it, and that's not the book's fault. And again, this is something that I completely understand why so many people have been loving this one, but it wasn't for me, and this is in my unhaul pile now. I know somebody else will definitely love that one. So now getting into my chunk of 4-star books. Firstly, I have Prodigy by Marie Lu, which was a reread, and I actually listened to it this time on audiobook. I do think this is probably the weakest in the trilogy, but I still really enjoyed it. And I'm surprised how much I actually remember of this. I think I probably read this for the first time in like maybe 2014. A long time ago. So I am surprised how much I remember, and I've kind of been missing dystopian, so this is definitely putting me in a happy place. Then I read It Happened One Summer by Tessa Bailey, and I have previously read her Fix Her Up trilogy, and I enjoyed it more than most. It wasn't like my favorite thing ever, but I knew I wanted to read more by her in the future, so this is her new release, and I ended up giving this one 4 stars. This is kind of a fun, like, opposites attract romance with a very rich, kind of snooty girl. I didn't like our main character Piper in the beginning at all, and this man in a like Washington fishing town, he's a fisherman, and so she actually gets sent back to this town because it is where her dad was from. Her dad has passed away, but her stepdad is kind of cutting her off because she's been being too much of a party girl, and her mom and her stepdad are sending her back to this town to kind of, you know, humble her, and it's just a romance between her and this guy. It was very steamy, very good. I loved that one. Then I actually have the Shelf This book club pick that was for July. What is that, what month we're on? Yes, for July, which was When You Were Everything by Ashley Woodfolk. Stasia picked this one this month, and this was a fun YA contemporary read. It focuses mostly on like a friendship breakup, and I did really end up enjoying like how everything was handled and concluded in this one. Then I have Firefly Lane by Kristen Hanna, which was my first Kristen Hanna, and I really enjoyed this one as well. This also follows like the overarching topic of friendship. This kind of follows a friendship throughout like an entire lifetime. And it reads historical, and I know that she writes historical, but it's actually set like from the 70s to present day to when this was published. I think this was published in like 2008 maybe. So it's not historical, but the beginning to me definitely had historical vibes. I'm excited to try out more of Kristen Hanna in the future. Then I listened to Zenny by Rebecca Weatherspoon. It had been a hot minute since I had listened to Rafe, which is like the first book technically in this series. I don't know if she's writing more in it, so for now it's a duology. But these are so fun, and the representation in this is amazing. It is 2 bisexual like main love interests, and I just thought it was really good. Our main character basically inherits a bunch of money from her aunt, but the only way that she can get it is if she marries this guy that her aunt like wrote in her will, like, you can have this if you marry him. And so it's a marriage of convenience. It's really good. Again, steamy, a good time, and fairly quick. Then I have a book that almost reached 5 stars for me, but just barely, not quite, and that was Near the Bone by Christina Henry. This is a horror book set like on a mountain, and our main character is living with a very abusive man, like secluded on this mountain, and you find out throughout the story kind of how they ended up there. And then you have these strangers coming onto their property basically, and just finding out more about who our main character is. And then there's like a creature that they're hunting, and these like strangers are trying to hunt this animal, and the man that she lives with is trying to like capture this animal. And I think that's the part that didn't work for me, was the whole aspect with the animal. I think everything else surrounding like these people's lifestyle and, you know, why they're on the mountain, how they've been living for so many years, was more interesting than the creature aspect for me. So that's the only part that made this like not 5 stars for me. And again, another fast book, so if you're looking for a fast horror, this one was very good. And then my only 5-star for the month was a reread, and I don't think anyone's going to be surprised. These have been, since I've been rereading the series, on my 5-star list. And so this month I did reread Air of Fire by Sarah J. Maas. This is like a very integral book for me in the series, because to me this is like the bridge book between the beginning of the series and the end. You meet a lot of new characters in this book that, you know, follow through the end of the series, and just a lot starts to change in this one. And it's my favorite color because it's green. So this was a positive experience. But that was everything that I read in the month of July. I am already having a good start to August, so I'm excited to get there so I can do this again. I do enjoy filming my wrap-ups. I know I don't get the most in-depth, but for the most part, this is everything I read. Thank you so much for spending some time with me today, and I will see you again very soon. Bye!